but I'm here today to introduce our speaker for the day. He'll be speaking to us on what small businesses need but lack. I'm sure he's no stranger to most of us. At least his voice isn't unusual. It's not unusual. His name is Kojo Okonkuma. I'm a big fan. I've listened to you for several years on the radio every morning, so I'm excited to meet you today. But Kojo has started his work with the British American Tobacco as a treasury analyst in the financial world, and he moved on. Were you still with BNT when you started working with Joy FM?
Initially.
Okay, so he's subsequently worked with Joy FM and has worked on the flagship programs like the Super Morning Show, Newsfile, and he's also a prominent figure, a speaker within the Ghanaian society. He's moderated the vice presidential elections and the presidential elections as well, and has acted as a resource person for quite a number of organizations within the Ghanaian society. He's helped the Bank of Ghana, TIGO, Standard Chartered Bank. Why I do think that Kojo is ideal for this topic is because as entrepreneurs, as we're coming up, a lot of these things are very new to us. A lot of things we're struggling with to build our own businesses. But Kojo has actually started his own company. He has a private equity firm called Brownstone, which has been in existence since 2009, and actually has 3 subsidiary companies. So I think he's been through all the problems that we are all going through, and he's also come into contact with some big global businesses, which I'm sure he's taken a lot of experience from, that he can share with us. So without going on too much, I would like to invite Kojo to start this.
Thank you. And good evening. I just use this. How does it work?
It's the other way.
The other way. Okay, hi, good evening. And how are we doing? It was like we're acting a little Star Trek. But good to be here. I first read about what you guys were doing online. It was interesting to learn with you some of the things that other persons have come to share. So I consider this a privilege when Nana gave me a call and said, Charlie, why don't you come talk to us about a few things? So this evening I want to talk to you about some of the things that small businesses need but they lack. And I want to start by understanding how many of you here are entrepreneurs. I imagine all of you are. Okay. So those who are not entrepreneurs, what are you? Tell me. Very quickly. Give me a fair idea. What are you? Yes, sir.
For Sevnet.
Okay, you work for Sevnet.
Petra.
Okay. Anybody else? Come on, tell me. Oh, you also work with Sevnet. Okay. So it's good. The thing about entrepreneurship is that today it's become like a little, cliche. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I was telling somebody, that anybody who says an entrepreneur is a guy who's broke but doesn't want to look broke. He wants to look like he's doing something serious. But I'm sure you do know that it is not easy to be on your own and to run your own business. I speak to a lot of people who say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I am a young entrepreneur. And then you call them for a side conversation and then they start listing the problems to you. Because it is a very difficult thing. I meet people who are working sometimes in a bank or insurance company, they say they want to step out, they'll start down there. I say, brother, think through it properly because it is not easy. Because there are a lot of things that small businesses need but they lack. People want to be entrepreneurs today for 3 major reasons. 1, economic necessity. A lot of people are looking for jobs, they can't find jobs, and therefore they become entrepreneurs. Because they need to make ends meet, so they have to start something on their own. The increased exposure of today's Ghanaian also makes a lot of people entrepreneurs. entrepreneurs. He travels abroad, goes somewhere, goes online and sees something, or watches a movie, reads a book, sees something, and he's like, gosh, I could do this right here in Ghana, and he becomes an entrepreneur. And the third reason for which a lot of people are becoming entrepreneurs today is that the natural entrepreneurial talent is growing in Ghana as we're getting more educated, as we're getting more conscious. People believe, I can do this. I myself can make this happen. So generally, the entrepreneurial trend is growing in Ghana. It's good for our economy. But I wanted to start off by talking about some of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of entrepreneurship conversations going on. But wanting to be an entrepreneur is not enough. The desire to be an entrepreneur is not enough to succeed. In the US, statistics suggest that about 80% of startups fail every year. So you see a whole army of people, yeah, we're going to be entrepreneurs, we're going to make things happen, and about 80% of them fail in the very year that they start. And then they'll justify it to themselves and find somewhere else to go. But in Ghana, what's the percentage of startups that fail? Anybody?
No starts.
Part of the problem is that we don't even know. We don't even have statistics on it. So it could be 95%, 98%, you don't even know. It could be maybe 40%, we don't even know. So maybe at some point, Sevlet can maybe from your own database of people who come around and things, you can start putting together some statistics on your own, and you start building it and see what is wrong with that statistic and start correcting it as time goes along. But this is evidence that the desire to be an entrepreneur is in no way congruent with whether or not you succeed, because a good number of startups fail. The trick is that entrepreneurship thrives in an ecosystem. The mere fact that you want to be an entrepreneur, if you even found a nice idea or a nice product that you want to go out on, doesn't mean that you succeed. Real entrepreneurship thrives in an ecosystem. I had the privilege in October last year of working with a number of entrepreneurs in the US for about 3 weeks. Traveled to about 4 or 5 states, and we studied the entire ecosystem that makes entrepreneurship thrive. And before I tackle it, I'll tell you a little story. When I started my business 5 years ago, first thing I realized I needed was an office. So I went to rent an office. I went and then the guy says, well, I can give you this office space, nice office space, but you have to pay me 2 years rent. Okay. So I put all my money together to pay 2 years rent, and then I realized I had no furniture. Alternatively, there was something that ensured that I didn't need to pay 2 years rent. Whatever money I used to pay 2 years rent, I could have probably used it to buy furniture. I had no cash in the bank to even start my liquidity to be sure that I could keep the lights on or get fuel for the vehicle, because the things in the ecosystem that should make it easier for a young guy who has an idea to start a business are not present here in Ghana. And I just want to take you through a number of things. A lot of the time, people think that what entrepreneurs need is money. Not true. It's not true. In fact, money is the last thing that entrepreneurs need. And I see all of these funds being set up, we want to give money, but I think that we need more than money. Money is the last thing. One of the first things that an entrepreneur needs is talent. For the entrepreneurial skill to thrive in the ecosystem, you must have a good talent pool of people who are thought to be problem solvers, people who wake up on a daily basis looking to solve problems around them or take advantage of opportunities around them. Because if you don't have the talent and we give you $5 million, all that you probably do is buy treasury bills and still make money, and you're not an entrepreneur. And the talent pool is birthed out of the ability to train our young minds to be critical thinkers and problem solvers, to be curious minds who are looking for ways to take advantage of opportunities around them or to solve their problems around them. There's Ebola around here, and everybody's scared. But how many of us have really thought about how to make money from Ebola? It's the entrepreneur who quickly thinks, okay, Ebola is everybody's scared. What is everybody doing now? Buying sanitizer. The entrepreneur is the one who quickly says, gosh, I need to order 2 containers of hand sanitizers. Because there's a problem here, this is how I'm going to contribute to the solution and make some money while I'm doing it. So talent is the first thing, and we really don't train our people to be entrepreneurial minded, to be thinking entrepreneurship and to be thinking how to solve problems or take advantage of opportunities around us. So the very first thing that you need to thrive in an entrepreneurial ecosystem is the talent. The next thing entrepreneurs usually like is a bit of recognition. likes to be known as the founder, CEO, or something minute, but it's there. Entrepreneurship, for it to thrive, you need advocates in the ecosystem. You need people who are constantly making noise and listen. The answer to the unemployment question of the country is not more funds or it's not bigger government, but it's in developing the skill sets of young people to solve problems and create value for themselves. You need advocates like that who are always shouting and making this matter, pushing government, make money available, make technical assistance available, pass laws that make it easier for people to start business. I'll be happy if there was a law that says that it is illegal to charge more than 3 months rent for business. You know what that would do? It will free up your money. So we need advocates on the sidelines saying that, listen, we need to do more of this, we need to do more of that, we need to do more of this, we need to do more of that, because those advocates help to push the space. Because entrepreneurship needs to be stimulated. It doesn't just happen out of the blue. So you need that. Then of course you need some funding. Now anybody who walks to a bank hoping that a bank will give him a loan to start a business, I'm sure you know he's joking. One of the businesses that we invested in as a private equity firm is a microfinance business. We bought up about 70% of the shares of that company. And we go around borrowing money from people. You know, in the global finance economy, there are people who have more money than they need, and people who need more money than they have. So you mobilize the money from those who have more money than they need, and you make it available to those who need more money than they have. That's how you balance the finance equation. So we go around mobilizing money. So I go to a guy who says, I'll give you 1 million cedis at 32%. I say, fine, I'll borrow it. And then you come and tell me that you have a fine idea. You don't have collateral, you don't have anything. So I should put my money, no, not my money, someone's money into your idea. How would you like? But very often we business people, we entrepreneurs are too agitated on this side, shouting to you, the banks don't want to help us, the banks are not NGOs. What you need is what we call patient capital. People who have money, who understand entrepreneurship and who see that they are willing to set money aside and look for good dreams to invest in and stay with you for the next 4 or 5 years so that you can blossom and succeed. And those funding sources, like what's being done, the youth enterprise fund or whatever, those funding sources are good because they create a pool of cheap money that doesn't come with an interest ticket on it and timelines giving you pressure. And it's patient capital that you can go with. I disagree with how we are managing these funds. These funds, they are good, but you need to give them to fund management companies, private equity companies, or venture capital companies, because they have the skill set to appraise business plans, to force entrepreneurs to, because entrepreneurs are said that they want recognition. If you give him the money and you are not chasing him in any way, next thing you do is probably buy a brand new, what kind of music? The brand new Range Rover, probably buy that because he wants recognition. Even though the business is not doing well, he wants his friends to see that things are cool. So venture capital managers or private equity managers usually are better at managing funds. Nonetheless, let's all agree that we need a lot more funding sources. I thought it was a brilliant idea that we set up a venture capital trust fund. That's what we should be putting the money. Then they should be giving the money to private equity and venture capital companies like Brownstone Capital or Oasis Capital, or all of those private equity companies that really know what it takes to appraise business plans and work with people on it, to make it available to entrepreneurs. You need innovation hubs. So like what they created in America, they created something called Silicon Valley. It's an innovation hub where they stimulate all of these young people to go and they create this whole buzz and environment where people are thinking and dreaming up new products. So there's one here, Meltwater. That's an innovation, but I believe that we need a lot more of that in various areas. We could do one for fashion, we could do one for whatever, because that's where the ideas will blossom. The ideas come, they go for the money, they get advocates shouting for them, they get recognition. So entrepreneurship to thrive, you can't have entrepreneurship thriving in the absence of all of these things. And that's where we are now in Ghana. That's where we're singing entrepreneurship, we're saying we want to create young entrepreneurs because that's the answer to the unemployment and the low income problem and the low tax problem. Because we have to create more employers. But we first need to make sure that this ecosystem exists, else it's difficult. So I think that the most important thing that small businesses need but lack, after I've said all of these things, is capacity. Capacity. I have a dream. The fact that I have a dream doesn't mean that I have the capacity to bring my dream to life. So very often, you find a lot of young people saying, I have a dream or I have what I think is a business idea, so give me money, let me go do it. But even if we give you the money, you don't have the capacity to manage that money. 80% of the businesses that are starting in the US are collapsing. In the US, they have this ecosystem, and 80% are collapsing. So, what are your chances of success? Very slim. Because the single most important thing that entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship requires, we're not paying attention to, and that's capacity. Capacity is the technical know-how to manage your business. The technical know-how to manage your business. So what's in which area is your business?
It's a software business, but it's a payroll.
Okay, so it's a payroll application. So you're in the software business. Okay. How about you, Sam? Same. Ma'am, how about you?
I'm also in the software.
You also just software. Okay. Educational software.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How about you? Say again? Susu savings. Fantastic. So all of you have a certain dream or a certain desire about a particular, sometimes and very often, about the product. You're passionate about the product. But the product is very different from the business. There's a business, and there's a product. Sometimes you have multiple products in your business. The technical know-how to manage your business is more important is the most important thing or the most important thing to the success of your business. The technical know-how, and that's what I call capacity. It's the operating system with which you function. It's the Android of your business. You all know Android. Yeah. Can you imagine what your flashy phone would do if there was no operating system on it? What would it do? Absolutely nothing. It doesn't matter how flashy the phone is. They say it has, this RAM and that, this and that. The screen is this and that. If there was no operating system in it, it's totally useless. That's what capacity is to your business. Capacity is the Android of your business. And contrary to popular thinking, capacity is the lifeblood of your business. I know everybody says cash is the lifeblood of your business. I disagree. From my almost 6 years experience in business, capacity is the lifeblood of your business. If we give you all the cash and you didn't know what it takes to put in place a board for your business, what it takes to manage cash flows, what your consumers' demand drivers are, what your normal supply drivers are, what your customer retention cycle is. If you didn't know all of those things, they will give you cash. Chances are you think you buy the expertise, but if you didn't know how to even manage the expertise you're buying, all of that money will just seep out of your business. So for me, one of the most important things that small businesses need but lack is capacity to manage the business. And very often we entrepreneurs fall to the idea that let me start, I'll figure it along the way, which is true. But if we don't really take time to learn what it takes to manage your business or build the capacity to manage your business, doesn't matter the idea you have or the kind of market available, it won't go out there. So elsewhere, you have something, let me just go back. You have what we call entrepreneurial educators in the ecosystem who provide the technical capacity for you to succeed. I'm happy Servlet in what it is doing is answering that question a little bit. I'm sure you can give it a nice day. Now this is huge. One of my clients I'm working with right now has been in business for 8 years. And she suffered a few challenges in her business. So our advisory service department is trying to bring it back on track. And when we went into the job and started understanding, we found out that because she's an entrepreneur, she's passionate about her business. She's tied to her business. As the business is having challenges and going down, she's frustrated. So she comes to the office and sometimes she's screaming at people. And you know how that affects the corporate culture and
affects everything. But if she has the benefit of some entrepreneurial education, she will even know herself and know that at this stage I need to distance myself and let somebody else manage this transition. So this is key. The technical capacity, the ability, is one of the major things that small businesses need but lack. But apart from that, and may I say, even under that big umbrella of capacity, there are a number of things that entrepreneurs need to know. The very first one is value proposition. Value proposition. Entrepreneurs need to know how to get their value right, even beyond money. So you meet somebody and he says, I have a fantastic idea. And then you begin to do a value analysis of the idea. What problem does your idea solve? Really? Are there people who have a problem? Is there a problem? Is there a value that this idea that you have is creating for anybody at all? Because you see, to succeed as a business person, you must have an idea that solves a problem or creates value for a market. And very often we're all titillated about that idea, but we haven't gone through the value chain analysis. Entrepreneurs need help in doing their own value proposition. Because if you don't, you can have what you think is a fantastic idea, but absolutely nobody is interested in paying for that idea. And you spend all the time investing whatever money you get in creating an office and buying computers and doing whatever it is, and no market out there for the activity that you want to back. And it falls very much in line with what we call the second part of market analysis. Is there a market, or can you develop a market? There are some products, and for many of the technology products, at the time the product is developed, there's really no market for it. They rather cultivate a market or grow or develop a market for it. And usually when you have financial backing and you have some big money in your bank account, you can grow a market. But if you've become an entrepreneur out of economic necessity, and you don't have money to develop a market, my advice as an entrepreneurial educator would be must stop and go to Adenta and sell water. You know why? Because there's a huge market in Adenta for water. So entrepreneurs or business people need technical capacity in figuring this out so that they don't throw their money away, they don't waste their time. And it's a big thing that I think as time goes along, we'll get a lot more entrepreneurial educators to help out. Another big thing that from my experience I've realized is that entrepreneurs need help or need capacity to do what we call business process modeling. In my very first business that we invested in, it took us almost 5 years to get the business process right. So the first 4 years were years of losses. My only luck was that I was working somewhere, so I was earning a salary. But the times when I take my salary, then I come and pay other people's salary, then I'll go and face my wife. Very upset about it. Because we hadn't figured out an efficient business process for the value that we wanted to provide our clients. So we were losing a lot of money, losing a lot of time, and the business wasn't making profit. But the art of business process modeling is something that you need to spend time and get help to figure out, because it needs to be efficient, it needs to be apt. So you don't waste time, you don't lose money. You're able to deliver, a process, a seamless chain at the lowest cost that allows you to deliver whatever you want to deliver. Because the same thing can be delivered, but sometimes at a very high cost or through an inefficient process. Entrepreneurs need a lot of help in business process modeling. Like this client I'm talking about, for instance, we figured out when we were doing the business process modeling that the model was inefficient and was creating a lot of room for people to steal their money. And that's how come she ended up losing almost $500,000. Just because the process model wasn't right. And I think that entrepreneurs need help in figuring it out. Here's another big thing: people management skills. The fact that you have a brilliant idea, which even creates value, and there's a market for it, and your uncle left you $200,000 as an endowment fund for you to start your business, doesn't mean you succeed if you don't know how to manage people. It doesn't matter if you hold a master's degree in what's the higher form of physics? You have some other physics which requires very sharp brains to do. It doesn't matter if you are the best at that. It's like quantum physics. It doesn't matter if you are the best at aeronautical engineering and you don't know how to manage people, you collapse your business. Your dream doesn't matter. You need to figure out how to manage people. And in managing people, especially if you are working with people in Ghana, people educated in Ghana, working in Ghana, who've learned all the negative value systems, you've got to be very careful. People are not grateful. Doesn't matter if you said you build them a house or a school. A lot of people come to a job just because they are looking for a job. They don't care about your dream. They don't care about what you can go to bed on an empty stomach because you believe so much in what you're trying to create. They don't give a hoot. They just want a paycheck. And you can invest all you want to invest in them. The next month when somebody